give tithe. Why? We just give, and you just give joyfully. Like, should someone tell you to give? When you know, and even when you come to a church like this, you can see the lights. You make the place dirty. And then who is cleaning the place? These lights, how are they being paid? Most people, because when I go to many churches, I find that it's only 20% who give tithe. We are not even talking who return tithe. We are not even talking about an honest tithe because we don't know. But like in most Adventist churches, you find there are 100 people, only 20 give tithe. And these other 80, they wake up every day to go to work. They are even praying. They even tell the pastor, they are telling the pastor, the elders, to pray for them to get a job, to pray for them to bring customers their way. Let me ask, this is not stewardship, but let me ask, if God has said clearly in His word that our 10 shall belong to me, He has said, then during our baptism we say, I will support the church with what I have, the substance. And then you start praying for God to protect you. How you will not the answer? Because what He has said clearly is what you not give. So how will then God bless you with all because you have clearly shown you cannot trust Him? Do you know how we miss our prayers? And then we should probably start saying that, oh, this God is not sharing. God is here. But if He has given you instructions you're not following, why should we give you more? You know, it's like a parent. You have talked to a child, you've talked to them, you've talked. They're not following. Then they come to you, they want to call you mommy. May I ask my mommy? You now acknowledge I'm your mother. You're not listening to me. Say, if I play mommy, you must play child. You cannot play mommy to somebody who's not a child. So go and rethink. Of course, they call you mommy when they want something. I'm not kidding. Just say, no, that's not possible. Let's live like adults. We can't live like parents and child when you're not treating me as a parent, okay? So really, I was just saying about even the fact of helping someone in need without being squeezed is a sign of good mental health. But if you're struggling, you're holding, you're struggling to give, it's not a good sign. Number 10, finally. Do you know how to escape from stress? When you're going through stress, because stress is inevitable. We all go through stress, or we will. Do you know how you escape stress? Do you have a plan of when I am stressed? Or do you say, I will pray that God will protect me from stress? God has not promised anything like that is going to protect you from stress. As when Jesus was stressed. That's why he went to the Mount of Olives. To the Garden of Gethsemane, he was stressed. So who are you? Are you more righteous than Christ who will not experience stress? There will be stress. So do you have a plan? Do you take steps to manage stress, or do you stay in stress? So those are 10. The answer is yes or no. Okay? Have you understood all the 10 points? So this is the thing. For every yes, give a point 1. For every no is a 0. Is that clear? For every yes is a 1. For every no is a 0. So how many points have you scored? How many people have scored 10 out of 10? Like you have 10 yeses out of 10? Okay, we have 1. How many people have scored 9 out of 10? 7 or 8? 7, 2, 1, 0. Okay, 2. So this is the marking scheme. The more yeses you have, the more mentally healthy you are, or so this is the thing. The more yeses, the more points you have scored out of 10, the less prone you are, the less likely you are to get mental health issues, the more yeses. So ideally, we should score 9 out of 10. You know why 9? Because there's only one factor there that is beyond our control. And the one factor that is beyond our control is whether we belong to a mentally healthy family. That one you have no choice because you don't choose your family. But all these other ones, they are what we call modifiable. They can be changed. So the one you have not scored, the one you have scored low, you need to see how can you improve on that. That's an area of improvement. So the only factor you cannot do anything about is number 8. Whether you belong to a mentally healthy family, you can't do anything about that. But then all the others you can modify. Is it clear before I proceed? Is it clear? Any questions somebody wants to ask? Anything they want to say? This is not divine hour, so it will just be an open discussion. And anything somebody wants to ask, get me another mic. Anything that is not clear, please go ahead.
Hello, ladies. My question is, if someone offended you in the past, it depends. If it's a slight one, yes, I'll easily forget. But if it's a very heavy one, somehow, I'm still not okay. Is it good? I'm going mental.
Yeah, no, so let me rephrase that actually. Maybe my statement was, I shouldn't have talked about forgetting in that way. What I meant is, I can explain that better. What I meant is, you can remember what somebody did, but how do you remember it? Do you remember it with bitterness, with pain? There's a difference. We have a wound and we have a scar. A wound feels pain, a wound is bleeding. But a scar is not painful, but it's a reminder of something that happened. So you can remember, but how do you remember it? Do you remember with bitterness, with pain, with anger, with revenge? Or do you remember it as something that happened that someone meant for evil, but God meant for good? You understand? Okay, good. Is that it? There's anybody else? Let me take one more, then we proceed.
So, thank you very much for the insightful beginning. In your beginning points, you stated that everything we do, I'm told you to do it. That was the statement you made. Like, for example, you gave an example of going to a school meeting for the children. So, how do you relate that to responsibilities of a parent, for example?
That's a good point. That's a good question. So the point, maybe not everything. What I meant is some things. Some things we do. The question is who asked you to do it. So that's a good point you asked. Responsibilities. Responsibilities of a parent. First of all, who told you to get children? You chose. You chose. There was no gun on your head telling you must reproduce. You chose to get children. There was no child in the forest crying to be rescued. You chose to get children. I hope all of us chose to get married. You chose. So you will not say somebody put a gun on your head and told you get married. You must not get married. Okay? And you see, sometimes you say society. Which society exactly? You chose to get married. So we need to have a choice. That is called agency. You have a choice to get married or not. Okay? So let no one say that they were forced. I think there is a book written by Yuki Wathiongo that says, I will marry when I want. And I've told my children they can marry or not. It's okay. They can get children or not. I did not get them so that they can get grandchildren for me. No, I don't want grandchildren, but they can get for themselves. That's not my mission on earth, to get grandchildren. That's it. I don't have a mission like that to get grandchildren. They get children for themselves. I'm not asking. And for the glory of God, if they feel so called to get. Because again, you can't be a parent without getting children. You can take care of many other children and alleviate the problems in this world. Good. So you chose to get children. Okay? So once you have chosen to get children, and you can say, I didn't choose, but you engaged in an activity that potentially leads to children. So you chose to get into that activity. No one forced you, unless maybe you were sexually abused. Okay? Which again, the other option. So you get the children. So their responsibilities, these children come as a package, a lifetime of responsibilities. But then it is not everything regarding these children that you will be able to do. You know why? Because when you show up, for example, in the school meeting, I'm using that as an example, but there are many, what you're showing this child is life is perfect and you can always get everything you want. Is that possible? It's not possible. So me, I believed that if I show up for everything, I'm going to raise my children knowing that they are loved. That's not true. The thing is, in life, you will not manage to show up for everything. So you will get children who go into the world and they think their spouse should always serve them breakfast. Their spouse should always do something for them. When they are not able to do it, they cannot reconcile with that fact because they're like, why are you not doing it? Like they believe every day you need to show up, okay? So this is the thing. I now do it differently with my younger child. I go for school meetings, but not all of them. I choose. I look at them, I see which one is important. And some of them, if I'm tired, like I've had a busy day, I don't go, I tell him, son, sorry, this one I will not make it, but I'll catch up with the teacher to get to know what was discussed. Some of them, I let the father go alone, because me, I believe we had to go, both of us, especially me. So I tell the father, no, this one you will attend, I'm not able to make it, okay? So I don't have to be the one. Sometimes I can tell a family member, a sister who lives close by, I say, you know what, I'm too tired. Can you attend for my child, the school meeting? I've sent a parental representative and I've communicated. I've told the child it's not possible. I tell the teacher, I can't come today, but we can talk later. So I don't have to do everything because in life there is no perfection, okay? You know, even when we did geography, we learned about how mountains were formed. You remember the physical features we have? I was not good in geography, but I still got an A. The teacher didn't like me and I didn't like her. But there was something I remember we learned in geography. A lot of the physical features are formed out of imperfection. Do you remember that physical feature that comes when rain drop on a rock, eventually you have, you guys were good in geography. What are the name of those physical features? Galactites and I don't know what. So out of imperfection, you have mountains that are formed. Out of imperfection, we have waterfalls and everything. So life is not perfect, but the thing is you have communicated. Okay, so there's nothing absolutely that you have to do, but you choose to do. We have chosen to obey God. We have chosen. If somebody was forced to come here today, I will feel very sad. In fact, I was telling Lavington Church the other day that nobody has made me come to the Adventist church. I chose. My family is not Adventist. My mother is not. I chose to come to the Adventist church. Today, I can decide to walk out of the Adventist church with no explanation whatsoever to anyone. I don't need to explain to anybody because God brought me, I believe, and He will keep me in church. So I will leave, not because anybody has made me to leave. Maybe if I decide, of course, I'm not leaving. And I stay, not because what will my parents say, because they raised me in the church, not because my husband, not because anything. It's my choice. So if you are here and you have not chosen, for example, you need to rethink. Do you really want to be here? Or do you want to take time and go through the fundamental beliefs and choose to be here? So if we have people who have chosen to be in church, I think it will be easier also for us, maybe as leaders, so we won't struggle because people have made a choice. Okay. So when you do things in life because you are more prone to mental health issues, because that is not what you want to do, you are forced. So inward, you are trying to force yourself to look right when you don't feel right. Have you seen people who are smiling for everything? They're just smiling, but deep down they are literally dying. Then the next time you hear, they killed themselves, they took out their lives, and you're like, but they were always smiling outwardly, but inwardly they were dying. So the closer we get to being I don't want to use this word authentic because Gen Zs like using it a lot, but let me use it. The closer we are to our authentic selves, the more we will be protected against mental health issues. And some of us who have Gen Zs, they are showing us wonders. Because, let me not get there. They are showing us wonders. You're looking, you're like, what? And then they ask you, what problem do you have with my hair? And you start saying, actually, what problem do I have? Can we talk about hair for a moment? Because me, my boys, they have braided their hair. Can we talk about hair? And when I'm asking them, they ask me, what's wrong with my hair? Have you read your Bible? I say, yeah. How was Samson's hair? How was the hair of the priests? And then I look at them, yeah. Then they say, if I was a white person and I had this hair, would there be a problem? Now it's a problem because I'm a black person. Then I say, yeah, actually, what's the problem with it? Then I start saying, okay, yeah. Then they say, maybe you need to rethink what you have been teaching all along. You claim to read your Bible, but clearly I don't think you're understanding your Bible, So we need to rethink. Now, let me get to my presentation. So we are talking about mental health for the family mental health, whether you are the one who is affected or you are a caregiver. And I began by saying that, implying marriage is believed to have mental health benefits. People who are in marriages have higher quality of life, they have lower mortality rates, the rate of dying, they have more earnings in terms of more money, they have better sex or more sex, hopefully, they have better physical and mental health, and they also have lifelong companionship. Those are some of the benefits. However, this depends on the nature of the marriage and the family relationships. Yeah? Mental health can be positively enhanced if you're in a good relationship, or it can be negatively impacted if you are in a wrong relationship. So if you are in a healthy relationship, your mental health can be enhanced in marriage, that is. But if your relationship is not good for you, your mental health is going to be impacted negatively. Okay? So, mental illness. Actually, let me say this before I get to that. There are people who have a history of mental health issues. We call them predisposition. There are people who are predisposed to getting mental illness. When they get married and the marriage is not good, they end up getting a mental illness. Do you understand? So the people had that tendency, they had that genetic predisposition, then they get married in a wrong relationship, it triggers their mental health issue. So we need to rethink the way we keep encouraging people to get married. There are people who are better single. You think that marriage is for everybody. And you keep saying, no, maybe you get married, your life will be better. Actually, for some people, they get married and their mental health worsens. And you begin seeing that's when they break down mentally. Because of the negative impact of the marriage. And I know someone may say, oh, why are you telling people to get married and you've been married? Yes, I've been married for about 21 years. And I also know that marriage is not for everybody. So that's what I'm saying, that there's nothing like that. This is good for everyone and this is bad for everyone, okay? And you will say, oh, go ye and multiply. The world is so full and multiplied that if you wanted to adopt children, now it has become very easy to adopt children and take care of children, okay? Mental illness has been the silent illness in many faith communities. In many churches, mental illness is not something we talk about. Sometimes we want to say it's demon possession, it could be, but I also know that mental illness is not easily talked about, and even across many cultures. So there are people who go on in life, they're undiagnosed and they're untreated. They don't get a diagnosis, they get treated, and it impacts the rest of the family members very, very negatively. There are people, especially women and children, who are enduring, I don't know how to say enduring, they are enduring domestic violence because their partner is mentally ill and they cannot speak up and they make it a prayer item. I think sometimes we need to use our common sense. The Bible says, present your bodies as a living sacrifice, not as a dying or a dead sacrifice. So if the body is being violated daily, how then are we presenting this body as a living sacrifice? And we are praying, we are making it a prayer item, and praying that God is going to practically convert someone. That is not faith, that is magical thinking. That you think that God will wave a magic hand or wand or potion and this problem is gone. So we pray and we wonder why this is not happening when God has shown us very clearly what to do in such cases, okay? So mental illness, I said, has been silent in many faith communities. And in many cases, when mental illness is not diagnosed and it's not treated, it causes the family to be fragile. And this leads to even a generational pattern of mental illness, because when children grow up in a family where a parent is struggling with mental illness, the parent is not able to be there to parent the children. So the children will be impacted to the third and fourth generation going forward. Let me share the signs of mental illness. And the signs I'm sharing are not all. So don't say, oh, you didn't say this. And I'm not sharing so that you can diagnose somebody. Because people go to school for close to 10 years for them to have the capacity to diagnose. So these short few minutes are not meant for you to diagnose, but for you to probably begin thinking, do I need help? Does my loved one need help? If somebody has excessive sadness, we cannot always be happy. But if you find that somebody is more sad than happy, most of the time they're just sad and they're crying, it could be a sign of mental illness. If somebody is having trouble sleeping or they're feeling tired, they feel tired most of the time. When they go to bed, they cannot sleep, it may be a sign. If somebody has got very strong feelings of anger and irritability, they are known for being angry, for being moody, for being irritable, could be a sign. If somebody has excessive worries or fears, if they are excessively worried or they are fearful, it could be a sign of mental illness. If somebody has suicidal thoughts, they have suicidal thoughts, they think of taking away their life, they think of sleeping and not waking up, should not be taken for granted. If somebody has extreme mood swings, one moment they are happy, another moment they break down, they cry, could be a sign of mental illness. If somebody is isolating from friends, we were created for connection. We were created to reach out to other people. That's why during COVID, a lot of people struggled, because there is a problem and we cannot meet to talk about it. So we are wired to naturally reach out to other people and get support. So somebody isolates from friends. If somebody is not able to deal with daily problems, there are daily problems that we go through. Somebody goes through daily problems and they crumble. Daily problems, the normal challenges of life, but they cannot cope with the normal challenges of life. They just crumble. It's a sign of mental illness. I remember one time when I think I was about to finish university, there was this young man, I won't say who was my partner, my boyfriend at the time. And I noticed that when he completed university, he was looking for a job. So he applied, I may not remember the exact detail, but I know how I felt. He applied for a job somewhere and he didn't get. And this person was so broken, he was so crushed. We were, I think, to meet somewhere, maybe for a walk, and the person could not focus, they could not even concentrate. And I'm like, what is it? What is it? And they said they applied to some place and they were not given the job. I remember at that time, I didn't know much about mental health, but I remember at that time feeling like, there's just something here that is not okay. Like you were turned down at a job and you're totally broken, you can't even function. Much later, anyway, I came to realize that this person had a mental health issue. But at the time, I just felt there's something not okay. You can't be so broken like this when you have not gotten a job. You see? So that's a normal challenge of life. Sometimes people tell you the way they have been, maybe their girlfriend, their boyfriend has broken up with them, and they are so broken, they cannot even get out of bed, they cannot even shower, they cannot even come to church. And you start saying, oh, it's this person who left them, they're the ones who made them that way. No, there's a fundamental issue, there's an underlying issue. Because rejection is part of life, but they have been rejected and they cannot function, they are so destabilized. So what needs to be addressed is a mental health issue there, not about whether somebody left them or not, because people will always leave us, okay? The other one is if there's a change in sex drive. Everybody has a different sex drive. So if there's a change in sex drive, either they want to have sex all the time or they are not interested in sex. I remember somebody asked one time in another group I mean that their husband, are there children in the house? Are there children? Okay, so now this is what the person asked in our group. They said that the husband, okay, thank you. They said that the husband had to wake her up at night 5 times to have sex. And he even puts an alarm. I'm not exaggerating. He even puts an alarm at 2 a.m. to wake him up to ask her for sex.
There has been a crisis.
And I remember when she asked that question, people responded very ignorantly. Ignorantly, I was very sad. It was a women's group. Very highly educated women. And some women were saying, find a way to go with the flow so that you can enjoy your husband. I said, no, this is sickness. This is not okay. Then I said, is this person living in this economy? Are they working? You go to work during the day, you're struggling to make ends meet, and then you're putting an alarm. So she said he has to have sex with her 5 times a night. And he tells her sex is very important. I said, no, that's a mental illness, that's an addiction. So you see these women, some of them Christians, they were quoting the Bible for her and telling her how your body belongs to your husband, find a way of enjoying. I said, enjoy what? Sickness. That is sickness. So we need to be able to identify if people are not interested for long. So if there is a change in sex drive, people okay, so let me go through, yeah? So the other one is there are changes in appetite. Changes in appetite, whether somebody is eating too much or they are eating too little. And this does not include teenagers because teenagers can eat. They can eat. You know, one time I went to sleep at about midnight. Sometimes I don't sleep, so I went to sleep at midnight. There was some food in the fridge. I woke up in the morning at 5. There was no food. There were no dirty dishes. I said, there must be a problem. I left food at midnight. I'm waking up in the morning. The food, there was cabbage, carrots, eggs. The food is not there. There are no dirty dishes. So I started wondering, did people come at night and steal the food? But where we lived is very safe. Before you get into the house, you've gone through many checks. So I knew that nobody could have access to the house, and we didn't sleep with anybody. So I woke up my children. I said, am I losing my mind? Because there was food. I can't find food. I can't find dirty dishes or anything. Then my son said, he woke up at 2 a.m. to make a midnight snack. He cooked the food, he ate, and because I told them that anytime you cook, I have no problem with you cooking, but please don't leave dirty dishes. That's the agreement. So he cooked, he ate, he cleaned all the dishes, then he went to sleep. Imagine. And I said, what is it? He said he was hungry. So now in such a case, it's not mental illness because I know teenagers can have increased appetite because their bodies are growing very fast. But if you know somebody is an adult, you know the way they eat. But then you're seeing they're either eating too much or too little for a period of time. It could be a sign of mental illness. If somebody is consistently feeling tired, somebody is feeling tired in the morning, in the evening, whatever they are feeling tired, most of the time, it could be a sign of a mental illness. I say it again, this is not for you to diagnose anybody, but just to begin querying, then go and seek medical help. Yeah? So let me talk about the risk factors. What makes other people more prone to mental illness than others? And I think this will address the questions we have answered. It is if somebody has a family history of mental illness, there's somebody in the family that has had mental illness, the people in that family are likely, not always, but they are likely because they have that genetic predisposition, they have that line of weakness. You see, they have a previous scar, in other words. If there's somebody has gone through child abuse, they have been abused as a child or they have been neglected, they are likely to have a mental health issue. If somebody has experienced a traumatic experience, like when we had people who experienced post-election violence, people experience genocide, there are people who have experienced abductions, there are people maybe who have experienced post-traumatic stress, maybe they were soldiers, they went for combat, maybe, they were working in crime scenes, and they experienced that trauma, they are likely to succumb to mental illness. If somebody has had a history of mental illness, they are likely to get a mental illness. That's why traditionally before people got married, some people would their family members would investigate. They will ask, in that family, was there somebody who had a mental illness? They want to investigate. But nowadays, people meet in Nairobi, you don't want to know where somebody comes from, and maybe they are village witches, you don't want to know, so you go ahead and say, me, I've met them in Nairobi. It's important to get to know, not so that you can lead them, but so that you can be prepared to know what you have to deal with. I always tell people that you cannot go wrong. For example, you want to marry a lady, look at the mother. You cannot go far. The apple does not fall far from the tree. Then if the person looks very different, now look at the mother. You want to get married with somebody, look at their father. Most likely the apple may not fall very far. It may, but most of the time not. So you look at the parents, look at the family and see how these people are. Someone can choose to be different, but it has to be a choice. They can't happen to be different. They have to make that choice. You have to know they are making a choice. If somebody does not have healthy relationships, they are likely to get mentally ill. Healthy relationships, their marriage, their friendships, their relationship with their parents, their siblings is not good, because relationships play a big role in helping somebody stabilize mentally. So if somebody does not have a healthy relationship or healthy relationships, they're likely to have mental illness. And let me share with you tips on how you can help a loved one. Maybe it's not you, but you can see that there is a person close to you who is struggling with a mental illness. You need to work as a team with that person. Look at it like it's us versus the illness. It's not you and their issues. It's us versus the illness. And you also need to communicate openly and honestly with the person. If they have hurt you, if you notice that they are struggling with something, you need to communicate. Talk about how their behavior makes you feel, okay? Sometimes you can find yourself becoming an enabler. Don't become an enabler or a doormat. An enabler is somebody who removes the consequences of another person. A person, because of their mental illness, they have destroyed relationships, then you make it your mission in life to repair the relationship. You don't do that. They have to be helped to stabilize, and then they take charge of their relationships. And mothers are very good in that. When they know that they have a son, for example, most of the time a son who has a mental health issue, addiction or something, they are so busy trying to convince the daughter-in-law to stay. They even want to take the daughter-in-law to Katoloni to go and pray together with them, to fast and pray for their son. Please, if really you had that, if you had what it takes, why didn't you pray for your son before releasing him to get married to somebody else? This is the thing. Many times, if you're a young person and you have seen somebody you want to marry or get married to, then you go visiting their family, and the family treats you very well. They know something you don't know. And I know you want to start quoting the Bible for me here. Let me tell you, you get married in the flesh, not in the spirit. So you might just want to remove a lot of your spirituality and be a human being for once, because you're getting married in the flesh. So if you go and the people are treating you so well, And you're wondering, they're just meeting you for the first time and they seem to love you. You're like, oh, they love me so much. You know, another thing why I need to marry this person, the mother, the father, the brothers are so good to me, my friend. They know something you don't know. But if you go and they are kind of suspicious, you know, they're just looking at you, they're like, tell me more about you. Like, you know, they are really scrutinizing you, then probably know you have hit the jackpot. Because everybody knows their person. Everyone knows their person. They know. So please, you will find that many families, they have a child, mostly a son, who is struggling with mental health issues. And they tell themselves that when he marries, the wife is going to help him. Why don't you help the person to heal first? Because you are the one who knows them even better. Help them to heal first. Why should you get somebody in that situation? So they want to do everything. I know families whereby because they have some resources, somebody's daughter is there being taken care of, paid for rent, the children are being educated, everything so that the person can stay and cover their son. I'm even thinking about the children who are being raised fatherless, who have no model of what a healthy father should be. And the story is different if it's somebody's daughter who is mentally ill. Quickly, the church will even come in and say, now, this young man needs somebody to take care of him. Let her go to the parents. We need him to be stable. We need him to be, he's a deacon. We need somebody to iron his clothes. So they will quickly get another person for him very quickly. Okay? And at the very best, they say he can take care of the kids, but let the lady go and be taken care of by the mother. Can't. So do not be an enabler. Do not enable. Let people experience the consequences of their choices. Do not be a doormat. So physical violence is a no. Whether somebody is ill or not, nobody should ever allow themselves to be abused by any human being, regardless of what the person is. And don't say, ananitukana tu, ananitusi kama amekunywa pombe, akiwa sawa ako sawa. No, that is who the person is, okay? So do not be an enabler, do not be a doormat, because you're not helping the person at the end of the day. That is also tied to set healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries can look like, if the person is not respecting you, do not engage in a conversation with somebody who is not respecting you. For example, anytime I have clients and they drink alcohol or they smoke, I cannot have a session with you when you're drunk. I can't. And if you pay for it, I will return the money, or you go, you will only come to me when you're not drunk. Because when you're drunk, your mind is already in a different state. And it's not fair for me to engage with somebody who's in another mindset. So you don't engage with somebody who has taken a substance that has altered their mind. You can only engage when somebody is sober, they can engage. So somebody has a mental illness and they are not in the right state. Maybe they have gone what they call mad, psychotic. You don't engage with them. You take them to a hospital because they are not safe for you, for themselves, and it's not safe for you. You don't start reasoning with them. There was a story that this young man shared. He said that he went to a mental health hospital. He didn't like the way these people were being treated. Like there's a way they were being, the door had to be locked and many changes had to be made. He didn't like it. And he said, why do you do that? Talk to them nicely and they will understand. He was an intern. Say, talk to them nicely. So the medical personnel said, okay, maybe you can try. He went in and he started talking to them. They beat him black as blue. Say, completely like, he nearly lost his life. He was trying to talk to them. I'm not saying that all mentally ill people do that, but I'm just giving that particular. He said, no, but you can't seclude them like you are just giving them food through the window. Just go in, treat them as human beings. And he was told, no, in these states, they are not safe. It's not safe. So we are treating them as per the safety. Okay? So, and this young man, he left there almost with his life on a stream, shoestring. So it's important for you to be safe. You have to set healthy boundaries and be safe, yeah? So if somebody belongs to a family or a church community and they have done something, maybe they have hurt someone, they need to be taken to a place where they can be treated and be faced alone, because what they have done is not safe. Now, the other thing I want to say is if you are living with a loved one who has a mental illness, find support. Get other people to support you. You cannot do it alone. You must not be the only one. You will break down and you will not help anybody. The other thing is that you need to be very intentional in your self-care. Take care of yourself. Do not neglect feeding your body, exercising, maybe doing what you need to do, going to work and what have you. I remember one time, I'm just about to finish, then I take your questions. I remember one time at my workplace, this lady said, there's a lady who was talking about somebody at their church, and she was saying that the person she was talking about had died prematurely. They had died. She was a lady who had died maybe in her 40s, and so somebody was giving a tribute at our workplace, and she was saying, this lady was so dedicated and so committed. Her husband got an accident and he was admitted in, let me give the name of the hospital for context. He was admitted at Kijabe Hospital. And this lady used to go to Kijabe every single day from Ongata Rongai. She used to, and she was not driving. She used to take matatus to Kijabe every single day. You know where Kijabe is. Because she had young children, so she had to come home. So every single day, she was in a matatu to Kijabe to visit the husband who was sick. Is that healthy? No. No wonder she died young. The husband died eventually. Or did he live? I don't know anyway. I can't remember very well, but the point is she died prematurely. You can see why she died prematurely. Is that even practical? Like she had a child, I think was breastfeeding. So because the child was breastfeeding, she had to come home and go to the hospital every single day. Is that practical? No. So I said, really, that doesn't come to me as taking care of herself. Because there are other people, like it's possible to have had other people to stay and take care of the husband. Then she can breastfeed, and maybe she can go, occasionally, as they have, and there's always someone else. And if there's no one else you can hire, people can contribute and they can hire a nurse, aide, or something, a caregiver to take care of this person. You see? So sometimes what we have always known as commitment and love, maybe we just need to have a better understanding of what we mean, because there's no love for another person that doesn't begin with loving yourself. Because if you're breastfeeding and you're on the road, when I mean them replenish, can't work, you can't live for long like that, because you have already mortgaged from your future. Okay? Let me say this. As Christians, we need to normalize seeking help for mental health conditions. What would you do if you had a toothache? If you had a toothache, you go to see a dentist, isn't it? But then when we have mental health issues, we don't easily, many times, reach out for help. You can have Christ and a counselor. I've said this many times. You can have a psychiatrist and the Bible. So learn as much as you can about mental health issues, develop coping strategies and safety plans for the person. If you're living especially with a member who has a mental health issue, develop coping strategies, seek for professional counseling, and a faith in God gives you an advantage for a Christian, okay? If you're living with a mental illness or you're living with a mentally ill relative, having faith in God. And I'm not talking about, in our church we do this. That's not the faith I'm talking about. I'm talking about a faith where you can say, I know whom I am believing and I'm persuaded that he's able to keep that which he has committed unto him against that thing. So I'm talking about your intrinsic, deep-rooted faith. Not the faith of being in the book, church register, the faith of being nominated, to serve in a church position because you are talented. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when nobody is watching, when you're going through principles, hard times. Do you believe in God or do you go to see a witch doctor? Because you're feeling like this is not really working. But we want to look politically or religiously correct when it comes to the Sabbath day or other church days. Okay, thank you very much. I want to take your questions or your comments at this point. If you are not able to ask, you can write. You can write and pass the word to me. I'll be more than happy to help. Okay, anybody wants to ask? If there's any that is online, I'll be Okay, there's a question at the back. So that one, is there another one? Because I know Adventists normally, when one person asks two people, then everybody's hand goes up. Please go ahead.
Good morning. My question is, mostly the person who is the patient does not understand their state. They don't know they're sick. So how do you start helping this person so that they can be able to seek help? Because if you get, let's say, a son who is addicted to alcohol or drugs, the first is they're very resistant. The second is they may not even start listening to you when you start telling them they need help. So how do you approach this person so that you can help him to seek for help?
So you will approach it differently based on what it is. So let me explain. If somebody is having a challenge where they are not harming another person, they have not broken the law, and they are not harming a minor, you see. So let's say, for example, they are drinking. Drinking is not against the law, and they are drinking, so they are not fighting anybody. They are not harming anybody. In that case, you cannot seek for their treatment against their will. You have to tell them, I can see that your drinking is a problem for you. And I'm suggesting that you seek for help. Is that something you want to do? I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you to reach out for help. If they say my drinking is not a problem, just tell them it's good to know. However, for me, the way I see it, I feel that it's a problem. So what do you proceed to do as a parent? You then have to emotionally detach and let them experience the consequences of their drinking. The reason why, for example, let's say if it's children or spouses continue their habits, it's because there's somebody that is enabling. There's somebody that is enabling. For example, they are living in your house and your house is drug-free and alcohol-free. You will let them know that in this house, we don't take alcohol, we don't smoke. So if you choose to drink, I'm sorry, you can no longer live with us. And you tell them, I have given you time to move out because we do not keep alcohol here. If they have messed up at their job, you don't go try to make it up for them. You let them lose the job. If they are losing, maybe they have a girlfriend or whatever they are losing, you let them lose the girlfriend. If they destroy their relationships, you let them destroy their relationships. You don't give them money, okay? If you are giving them pocket money and you don't give them money, they drink and they go and they're in a mutaro, you let them sleep in the mutaro. And then they will wake up cold in the morning. Every irresponsible behavior has an enabler. So if you are enabling, the behavior will continue. If you leave them to their devices, then they will not continue with that habit because the habit can no longer be sustainable. So the most important thing you can do as a caregiver is to know that you did not cause that habit, you cannot control it, you cannot cure it, you are helpless, you are powerless. It is totally up to them. And tell them you are here to support, but they must be the one to take responsibility and emotionally detach. The problem with most of us parents, and I'm one, you keep calling, you keep finding out, oh, my child, your child, that's not your child, that's another, it's not your baby. Start saying, my baby, is he well, is he what? And then the parents start saying, oh, you know, he lost his job, you're looking for a job. The person can look for alcohol, but they can't look for a job. They can look for alcohol, you know. So the thing is, if you share, then you let them, you leave them to their devices. Now, another aspect is, if somebody is mentally ill in such a way that, you know, like they are harming themselves, or maybe they are suicidal, or they are harming other people, or they have lost their mind, they are mad. In such a case, I'm just using mad very loosely. In such a case, you see they are out of their consciousness, they are a danger to you, to others, and to themselves. In that case, what you do then, you have to get them to go to a medical facility against their will. You have to use all means possible, including security. You have to use all means possible to get them in a hospital so that then they can be in an institution and be stabilized. So you can't leave them and say, hey, it's your responsibility. Then you can see they have lost their mind. Maybe they are walking naked. You don't do that. So that way you have to find all means and ways to get them in a facility where they can do what? Where they can be, where they can be stabilized. Because they are now interfering with the freedom of other people. Okay. Is that clear? Okay, good. Let's take the other one.
Thank you, Yogozi. What about stigma? Like now I have a child, maybe a husband who is mentally unwell, and then I feel, Yani, I don't want to open up. How can you help us in that line?
So you need to deal with yourself. So that stigma is not about other people, it's about you. There is a reason why you don't want to open up, because you want to appear perfect. You don't want to look like you have a problem. So you are the problem. The mountain is you. There's a book like that. Because you want to appear perfect. I told you that many of the physical features we have, they have come out of imperfection. So we must accept that we are imperfect. So what you're dealing with is wanting to look perfect. You have to deal with that. Remember, nobody can ever stigmatize you for something you have owned. If you have owned it, you see that people, ever since there was this initiative to deal with HIV, people presented themselves and said, I'm HIV positive. And they are calling themselves, HIV queen and everything. And in some places like Luo Nyanza, people started intentionally going out to infect themselves with HIV. I'm telling you, because they say people who have HIV, they are dressed well, they go to hotels, they fly on planes, they look so good, they have a lot of attention. So people would go out intentionally to infect themselves. Then they come to a facility, we test them for HIV, they are negative, they start crying. So you think they have not understood. You say, no, you are negative. You mean even though you are not HIV positive? You say, why? They say because wale wako na HIV watoto wao wanasoma shule nzuri, wanakunywa koko, Milo, wanaenda, wamefly. I've never even been in a private car. I want HIV because the people were taught to begin loving themselves. Of course, it worked negative in that way, but people loved themselves and they owned it and they started talking about HIV and it looked fashionable, Of course, that was not the intention. So what I'm saying is, when you have owned something and you've thought about it, nobody can stigmatize you for what you have already owned. And then another thing, as parents, I'm a parent, we have to detach ourselves from our children. You have to detach yourself. Your children are not there to give you honor and glory. Your children are there for you to be a steward. Because if we put everything, like when our children are doing well, we want to say we are the ones who have done something good. That's why our children have done well. You see, if you want to claim, how do I want to put it? If you want to take honor for the harvest, then you also have to take responsibility when the harvest has failed. You see, the increase belongs to God. So if you're raising your child and they're turning out right, it's not because of you, it's because of God. Because there are people who have done what you've done on matching and they have not gotten the increase. So the moment you're putting all your being, like your esteem is on how your child has turned out, then if your child has not turned out well, you are actually going to feel like you're unworthy. We have to begin to detach. Yeah, we have to detach from marriage goals, relationship goals, parenting goals, and just know that people will choose what they want to choose. People will be what they want to be. We can only do our best. So if your child has chosen a different path, you have to show up and keep serving God, because we don't know, nobody knows, and you can only present them to God. But at the end of the day, it is their responsibility to make a choice. Okay? So deal with the stigma first. Because the stigma we feel towards ourselves is the strongest. As I said, nobody can shame you for something you have already owned. Okay, I can see. Maybe let me see if there is a hand, then I can read the questions we have received. Yeah. Is there a hand up? Let's take one there. Then we will pose the questions. I respond to the ones we have before we proceed. This topic is really stigmatizing kweli kweli. Naona kuna maswali mingi hapa watu wameandika.
Good morning, Dr.
Good morning.
My name is Matilda. I just wanted to ask, how can you help someone who has suicidal thoughts? who has already decided. How can you help them?
So somebody who has suicidal thoughts has to get professional help. When somebody has suicidal thoughts, you have to take them to a mental health professional to get help. You can't help them at that point. You can only be there and ensure they get professional help. Because by the time somebody has suicidal thoughts, it has been a process. It has been a long journey. So that is one of the signs of somebody who is troubled and who must get professional help. Yeah. So you don't have capacity to help them as a family member. You can only just tell them, I'm here to support you in whichever way. Is there anybody you want to talk to? And I need you to get help. Sometimes you can even just find a way. I know sometimes I've had family members, I tell them, can you take me to a certain hospital? We go visit somebody. So I treat them that way. So we get into the car, get into the hospital, I've already made a call. The moment we get in, they close. So I tell the person that the person realizes, oops, they are being taken to a hospital. Because at that point, if you don't act, you'll end up losing someone. So you must exercise your judgment as a sober person and get help for them. Okay? So the question is, there is a saying that a little stress in a healthy manner makes things moving. The stress trigger illness. So there are two types of stress. There is good stress and there is bad stress. We all experience stress, and stress is good for growth. If you are in an environment where there is no stress, you don't grow. That's why, as a parent, you're not doing your child a favor when you provide them with everything. And I'm not saying you inflict pain on your child, but you know there is no more stress that you can't take away. So if you are removing all manner of stress from your child because you to suffer, you're not helping them. So the no more stress, like when I was coming to speak, I had stress because I drove a very long distance and I knew I'm going to get lost and it's far. So I had stress. And I woke up early because part of it is that I needed to prepare. So the stress kept me awake. Otherwise, I would still be sleeping. In fact, I got concerned the other day. I was in my son's school sometime, and the teacher was saying one of the students overslept during KCSE. So the exam is going on and they are realizing this young man is not in class. They went to the door, he was asleep, sound asleep. And you know, exam is done at what time? Maybe like 9. The boy is sound asleep. They woke him up and they are shocked, like, the exam cannot even keep you awake. He came and he still got an A grade anyway. But I was like, this is a very unique person. But when the exam cannot keep you awake, so stress keeps us going, and the normal stress. But when stress becomes bad, so to speak, is when it's chronic stress. Stress that is ongoing, that is not being resolved, or stress that comes so much that it overwhelms our coping ability. We all have a coping ability. But when the stress is so much, like, things are happening. Like sometimes you have seen a family whereby a friend of ours lost their father. Then they traveled to bury the father. The moment he arrived home, they had traveled from Nairobi. The moment he arrived home, there was the picture of the dad. He picked the picture of the dad like this, looked at it, he fell down and he died. And it's the firstborn son. And he was with the wife. So in that home, they buried 2 people. Our friend and the dad, they were buried the same day. And our friend was like the family, the one taking care of the family. The father has died, he has died, the mother had died a few years earlier. So you see, that is stress is so much for the wife could not cope. That is too much, it came at once, okay? So that is bad stress. But stress kadogo is what engineers growth. Yeah? You know, even a butterfly becomes a butterfly because of stress. Stress is pressure. Otherwise, they say that a comfort zone, nothing grows in a comfort zone. If you're in a place where you're just comfortable, that's why you need to be very worried about people who are just comfortable. You know, there are people who are stressed. Hana should sound. Sometimes they ask, how can you be okay? Like, no, you just cannot be okay. You need to be thinking about what next. You know, there are people, they could be here, but let me say, you know, there are people who have lived in the same house for 50 years. They have lived in the same place, and it's not their ancestral home. Like, that was the place they were raised by their parents. The parents retired, went to the village. This person married and brought the wife. Please, let no one take you to their parents' house. where at the parents have gone up country, the only son, anakuleta na unakaa kwa ile nyumba, unakaa unalala kwa kitanda ya wazazi because wameenda ushago, and the person is comfortable. They were born, raised here, they are continuing, they now have children, they are raising. No, how can you be comfortable like that? Like, you need to think and think about moving to somewhere else. So sometimes it could be a sign of mental illness when people are just comfortable, they're just there. You know, nothing seems to move them. They are not thinking of getting better, improving their lives. The other question is dementia part of mental health?
Vicky,
how do we discover it?
What
causes it? Prevention and cure is very common. Please, can you Google? There's a lot of resources. Don't ask me so much about dementia and particular illnesses, because now we will go into a lecture. Okay, please do you understand? There is a lot of information online this about dementia. So ask me a specific question, not about what are the signs, what the causes are so much there. So there are many causes of dementia, and there are so many resources. Please read fast. So let me respond to the ones that are more of life issues than more about definitions and all this. Because if we do, as I said, if we make it into a psychiatry lecture, hatutasaidika sana. Men are providers. Is it okay if they ask for financial help? How can I cause mental health issues to someone? Okay. So this is a broad question. Well, men are providers. Is it okay if they ask for help? Anybody and everybody needs help. Okay? There's something that I've said many times that I want to say. First of all, the natural instinct of a healthy man is to provide, protect, and secure. That is the natural instinct. As a man, that is at the core of manhood. The man has an inclination to provide for the family. Whether they will always provide adequately, that's another question. But you can see they have an inclination to provide. They have an inclination to protect the family. So you would not be walking with a man, however young, and you are walking on the road and there is a vehicle and the man is the one running and leaving you on the road. A healthy man will be protecting you, saying, even if it's your son, walk this way, they are trying to walk that way, okay? Provide, protect, secure, taking care. As simple as if you have all entered the house, the man is checking the doors. You know, there are people where you sleep with the door open and there's a man in that house and they are asleep. Like, they don't go to check the gate, check the door. That is a wounded man. So let's begin from there. Because sometimes when we talk, people start saying, but not all men, whatever. Please, let's not talk about unhealthy people. So if you met someone like that, they are throwing you on the road. And then they are borrowing you money. You're not married to them. And then they are borrowing money from you. And then they are always expecting money. They are always telling you, babe, unaweza nisort, kuna kadiri kanaiba, kuna pesa nangojea. Please, those are not healthy people. They are always waiting. The truth is that a man who loves you, who wants to impress you and marry you, they will not borrow you money. They want to marry you. I'm not talking about a husband. They want to marry you. It's interview phase. They will never borrow you money. They borrow from mobile apps, they borrow from the bank, they borrow from friends. So if they are borrowing you money, either they are using you or they are not, they are wounded men. Let's begin from them. So do not expect that this person is now going to change. They won't, because that is a person that you met, okay? So having said that, the man will have a natural inclination to provide for the family. There are moments they may not be able to provide to their capacity because of many factors. But you notice they are not comfortable. They just want to do it, even if they are not able at the time. But if you see a man has lost his job and he's sleeping, he can actually even get sleep and even ask for sex. See how you know you are dealing with somebody who is not so well. Because the thing is, they may not have the job, but they are not okay. Yani hayuko sawa, anaamka hata anaenda anasimama kwa mjengo. They wake up. They're waking up and they're showing up. They're like, no, I have to provide for my family. Is there something I can do? But they have lost their job and they're asleep. Even the baby wakes up and leaves them asleep. Sasa, that is not an okay person. So the issue is not whether they are able to provide at that time, but it's the attitude towards provision. They begin even telling you leta pesa yako to budget, to pandi. They even make creating chaos that it's me my job and bring your money okay. And they're okay with it. So the thing is that it's okay in that state, okay? So he can ask for help. I don't like to call it help myself because I believe that we are partners. So I don't want to think that I have my money, my husband has his money. I don't think that way. I think that we are partners. So whatever we are earning belongs to the family. So what do I expect? I expect him to carry the vision. I expect him to take the lead, not with having more money, but taking the lead in terms of, I think this car needs service. Can we put some money together to have the car for service? I think we need to do some repair work in this house, so we need to put aside money for it. That's what I'm saying. Because if you look at provision in terms of money, that's the lowest form. Because money follows attitude. What is the attitude of the person? Is the person ready to receive and to handle that much money? Do they have a vision? Do they have a mission? Do they seek to have direction? Or is it that they don't know whether they are going or coming or gone? So that is how I want to look at it. How can I cause mental health issues? You can't cause mental health issues to somebody, but you can trigger somebody's mental health issue. So you are not the cause, but the way you treat someone, the way you relate with somebody, you can trigger mental health issues. But if you are dealing with a healthy person, they will have boundaries. They will get to a place they feel, I can't do this with you, So if you're with someone and you're triggering them and they are angry and they are not leaving you, you're not okay and they're not okay. Like they're not leaving you. And some people think that it's a badge of honor saying, me, I just stayed, they beat me, they slapped me, they kicked me. And I said, no, that's not okay. You're not helping yourself, you're not helping the person. A person who is healthy says, you know what, I love you, but we can't do this. This is the end, I can't do this. Yeah? So you cannot cause, but you can trigger. And when a person is not mentally well, they will stay and allow themselves to be mistreated. But a healthy person will say, no, I can't allow this to happen. What are the preventive measures? So I'll talk about the preventive measures later, towards the end. Can dementia be termed as a dementia is a mental health issue. It's a mental health issue, and I want to say that if you have a family member that has dementia, there's treatment for them. So do not be treating them at home. Take them to see a mental health professional, and also apply the same things we talked about. Boundaries, take care of yourself, seek support from other people, and put your boundaries, because you can't do everything. You need to get other people to support you. In the incident, the addict isn't sincere. They tell you they need help. When you take them to rehab, they claim you are punishing them, and from there it comes out worse. So if you have taken them to the rehab once, they have come out worse, and they are claiming you are punishing them. They are just manipulating you. They are manipulating you. So they come back, you tell them, I tried to help you, you did not get help. So now at this point in time, I want you to tell me how I can help you. Yeah? So you need to let them be on the driver's seat. Otherwise, it's manipulation. Are narcissists normal people, or is it also a mental health issue? Okay, this word narcissist is thrown around too much. For some people, even when they don't agree with someone, they call them a narcissist. So I want to ask, if you're calling somebody a narcissist, have they been diagnosed? Because narcissism has a diagnosis. It's a mental health issue. But do not call somebody a narcissist if you have maybe disagreed or they have not been diagnosed. But people can have narcissistic tendencies. But I'm afraid to call anybody a narcissist because people just like throwing this on everybody. Maybe you can talk about what are the things these people, what is someone doing? What are you experiencing with the person, not about the label. Is using abusive language and calling people names a sign of mental health issues? Why is the person using abusive language? Why are they calling people names? I think this one, maybe they will need further it will need a further discussion. What else is there? Because many times when people are doing this, they could also be physically abusive. So it's much more. Remember, the signs I shared, we don't just take one sign and say, if the person is not sleeping, they have a mental health issue. Normally, there are more than one sign. And please, it's not you to diagnose, but it's you to say, this person is using abusive language, and I don't think that is what I want for my life. How should a husband deal with a hyper wife who is sex addicted anytime, not giving the husband space? I think this is a good question. You know, many times, even the examples that we give examples thinking that men are the ones who are hyper when it comes to sex. But I'm telling you, there are men who are under pressure. Because the wife wants to have, is a sex addict.
So if the wife is hyper, she's a sex addict, she wants sex all the time. If as a man you talk to other men, they'll tell you have a good problem.
And they won't understand, because generally in many marriages, the demand for sex from the man is more than the supply from the wife. Is that not so? Normally the men will have the greater demand, the supply is telling their friends that, hey, my wife is not giving me peace. They will wish, can we borrow her for a night? Because they are like, hey, you man, you have a good problem, but for sure this is a real issue. I'm just saying, this is a real issue. So I think it's good for you to have conversation. And anytime in a marriage when your desires are not aligned, that is when there's a problem. There are people who have sex once a year and they're okay. The people who have agreed once a month that they're okay, no one is complaining. But the reason as to why you are asking is because you are not able to meet these desires. I think you need to have a conversation. And most of the time when somebody is like this, they probably experience sexual abuse. They were sexually abused. They went through something that has wired them to be this way. So I think it's good for you to have a conversation. That's why you need to marry somebody you can talk to. Otherwise, if you can't have a conversation, probably that's a faulty foundation. So you need to have a conversation and then you seek help. Because I think this is somebody who is addicted. And the more you give it, you do it, they will not get satisfied because it's an addiction. No, an addiction, somebody wants more. Some women even threaten their husbands that if you are not going to give me sex, I'm going to get it from somebody else. So you need to have a conversation and seek advice. You need to seek help. Get help from a counselor. What do you do when a husband doesn't talk in the house, or in short, you have no healthy relationship between themselves, but in the church they pretend that all is well? How can this be helped? You see, what you shared is just very small. Has that always been the case? They are not talking in the house, but in the church they are pretending. Has that always been the case? It can't be, because how did they marry you if they were not talking to you? So there is a reason. They talked to you, they convinced you and married you. Unless you married yourself. There are people who also marry themselves. So if truly they were talking, they convinced you, they married you. Along the way they stopped talking. I'm not blaming you, but there is a reason. So you are only just giving a tip of the iceberg. I want to know what is underneath. There's much more. Why are they not talking? Is there something that has happened? What has happened? So that you can deal with the root cause. Because if we say, oh husband, talk to your wives, we have not addressed the root issue. There's a place that they stopped talking. Another lady talked to me at some point. She said that her husband does not take initiative to do anything. Anything. When she asks, the cars are ready for service, he says, "You service." When she says, now what food do we take the child? Says, "You tapute." Like he does not move a finger, he doesn't do anything. He's just a joyrider. So she was saying the only thing he asks is for sex. Otherwise, he will never ask for anything. He will never suggest anything. So I asked, has that always been the case? She said, yes. She told me I manipulated him to marry me. He was not ready to marry me. I talked to his aunties. I talked to my aunties. They all tried to convince him. I manipulated. I even played sick I just forced him to marry me. I said, exactly. He didn't marry you. You married yourself. So you are alone. So why do you expect? He won't change. That's him. So you married yourself, then now you're complaining you want him to be with you. He can't. So you either accept it because that is the person he was, or if you can't live with him, then you might want to choose what you want to do. Otherwise, you cannot force somebody to talk to you because he didn't want to marry you. He told her, I don't think I want to get married. But her, she wanted to get married by all means. She did everything and got the wedding. After the wedding, that was it for him. So sometimes you have to evaluate, was the person always like that? If they were always like that, you accept them without conditions because that's the person you took. If they changed along the way, then you want to find out what happened because there is definitely something that happened. How will you help an individual, a man who lost a job, parted with a wife, and resolves to drinking? He refuses to look for a job. He wants to be supported for everything at 48 years, no income. So this man, the issue is not loss of a job. The issue is not loss of a wife. This man has no skills. He has no skills to look for a job to work. He has no skills to keep a relationship. This man, in short, he has no problem. The people who have a problem are the ones who are supporting him. How can you support a 48-year-old? He's drinking. What money is he drinking with? How does he finance the habit? So let's go to foundations. How can you support a 48-year-old? He wants to be supported, but are you supportive? I can want anything. Right now, I want a certain car. You can want anything. But will I get it? I won't get it. I have to work for it. I want a lot of money like now, but will I get the money? I won't because I have to work. There's a discipline that is involved. So it's okay. You can want anything. You can want to be supported, but are you really supporting him? Why will you be supporting him? So this person, he resolved to drinking. You leave him to his devices. You let him know that you love him and you are here to support him, but you're not going to enable him. So you don't give him money. He must work. The Bible says, whoever does not work shall not eat.
Amen.
Okay? I told my children, I have 3 children in campus. One of them is completing this year. The other one is in second year. The other one is in first year. I told them, I will only support you for your first degree. Beyond there, use that degree to finance yourself to go further. Me, I've given you the basis. Wherever you want to go, you can go anywhere in the world, but you must use the produce from that first degree. Otherwise, if you have not used the first degree, how can I give you the second one? Because I have no guarantee it's going to help you. So I went further. I wrote a long message. I said, I want to make it clear that for you so and so, my support ends at the 4th year. As you have joined university, by the time you're graduating, my support has ended. The other one, 4 years, my support ends. The other one, 6 years, because the course takes 6 years. My support ends there. If you choose to live with us after graduation, you have to take a pool in the house. I cannot live with an adult who is eating my food, sleeping on my bed, using my water, my electricity. Am I being a bad mother? So right. So the thing is this, you can live with me. I'm not chasing you. You can live with me, but you must take a pill in the house. If you don't do that to your children, their spouse will blame you and curse you. Because they will say you raised your child not to be responsible. This person is no longer a child. So I said, you can stay, but you must take a pill. So the one who is completing said, the house girl told me the other day, she told the house girl that she has started buying a few things so that when graduation comes, she will move out. I said, yeah, that's okay. So the house girl said, did you tell your girl to leave? I said, why? Because she has told me she has started buying plates and spoons because she's completing university. She's moving. I said, not her alone, everybody knows. Your time back. There's a timeline. Yeah. So how she has told them it's better instead of taking a bill in the house, she will move out. That's fine. So the second one told me, when I graduate in 2 years, I will take up the bill. I said, which one are you taking? He said, electricity, Wi-Fi, water, that you can agree. I said, that's okay. I said, just document. Can you hear me? I think it's working. So you don't wait until somebody is 48, then you begin saying that, you are not able to do this. Now, somebody may ask, will the person have gotten a job? I told them it's no longer possible that everybody will get a job. There are no jobs anyway. So it's not about whether they get a job. During this period, I've given you 4 years, I'm supporting you in university so that you open your mind and begin knowing what you can sell. Business. You begin thinking, what can you do so that you can raise money? So it's not about a job. But you can't go for 4 years, you're in university, you're not creating networks that are giving you resources, a place to stay. And you're waiting, thinking you finish and come back. I said, no, this environment is going to be toxic. I can't live with you, because you can't live with me when I cannot be telling you come at this time because you are an adult. You want to come the time you want. That's fine, you can move. So the problem is the people who are supporting someone at 48 years, and even what makes this person think that they can be supported at 48, even the thought process. They think there's a possibility because maybe along the way, something might have made them realize that there's a possibility of them being supported. Okay. So I'm glad that the wife left. And they had no skills to keep that job. And even if they got another job, they won't keep. But if they started a business, business is hard. They will not survive or thrive in that business. What they need is to learn skills. They can be supported to learn skills. Most of the time, when people are into drinking and other addictive behaviors, they have not learned the skill of discipline and delayed gratification. You want it, you have it. So even if you give them how much money, they are not going to save it. They will just drink all of it. So what they need is not money. Okay? So if you are here, you are telling me, I'll support my child. In fact, my husband was telling our children when I was telling them, first degree I'm done, he said, but my husband is very gentle. So he said, but if you went for master's, maybe we can pay school fees and you take care of your upkeep. I said, no, I'm not there. I told him, okay, pambana mahali yako. Me, I'm not there. Don't talk to me about it. Because I said, if you have not proved that degree, that diploma can give you food, how sure am I that the masters will give you? I said, you guys, you don't even need a degree for you to have something to do. You just need to know 1 + 1 is equals to 2. See, there are people who are running businesses and they can't even count. They don't even know mathematics and they're running big businesses. So don't tell me you need all these degrees for you to take care of yourself. You don't need them. You can have them, it's good. But you don't need them for you to generate resources, income, and take care of yourself. The other one is, how do you resolve when you discern that you're married a wrong person? Okay, something like, how do you resolve the issue when you know that you're married a wrong person and you are not comfortable? Most likely you're also a wrong person for that. You're also wrong for them. Let me tell you people, it's so easy to look at somebody and say, I'm not comfortable. You think they're also comfortable with you? Who told you they are comfortable? You think that there is Angel Gabriel married to Lucifer? You think so? The angel. You think there's an angel married to a devil? Where was the angel when they married the devil? So please know, they are also not comfortable with you. So the thing is, you have to work on yourself. The person you focus on is yourself. There's a reason why you married that wrong person. What made you marry the wrong person? So don't look at the person, look at yourself. What made you marry that wrong person? What are you not comfortable with? Unless the person is harming you, like your life is in danger, you want to thrive. Thrive, go ahead. If they are not stopping you, if they are not harming you, accept that You picked the wrong person, they picked the wrong person. And they don't say that, oh, now that I picked the wrong person, they picked the wrong person, so we separate and pick the right person. There is no right person. You are going to pick another wrong person. And just know that the first marriage has a 50% chance of failure, the second one has a 65% chance, and the third has even a greater chance. Here I'm not talking about somebody who is being harmed. If the person is not violent towards you, or they are not unfaithful. If they are unfaithful to you, they are putting your life in danger. So you don't allow yourself to be brought for diseases. So if they are not unfaithful to you, they are not harming you, they are not violent. So what is the problem? Is it because you expected them maybe to take you to live in Runda? You can work hard and go to Runda and go with them. You wanted to drive a big car, so you buy that big car. See,
Yes.
you drive that big car. You wanted them to take you to a holiday in Bermuda Island. See, you work hard, why the promote? You can give yourself that, can't you? Whatever you wanted them to give you, you can get it. Because where are they getting it from? So you get it from there. Because you seem to know where to get it from. Yeah? So, you're also wrong for them. Work on yourself and become the right person. And most likely, if you have become the right person, you may realize that you don't even have a need for the person to change. Do you understand? If you work on yourself, focus on yourself, you become the right person, you may not see a need of them changing. You may just be okay the way they are. Okay, good. And let me see, before I talk about the last one, is there any question, any comment? Anything that wasn't clear in the answers? Because maybe I've answered, but there's something that is not clear. Okay, I'm not seeming to see a hand. Okay, that's okay. So let me talk. Okay, Elder, go ahead. Give Elder.
Thanks, Anthony. I just have a question on the boy child. And as you have already indicated, apparently, the cases of mental health for men is proportionately higher than in women. Is there a link as to how society has treated the boy child with the greater prevalence of mental illness in adult men?
We are actually having a very big crisis with men and boy child when it comes to mental health and family matters. So this year, in the Family Life Week, our church is having a focus on the boys. It's something that I've seen that is very good. When you go online and you see the resource packet, there's a special focus on the boy child and on men. There's really a crisis. Personally, I'm seeing a lot of a challenge. There are many men who are coming to me and saying their wives or women are feeling like they're not being led, like they have no man, and they are telling them, you go figure yourself out first. The men are really struggling. And a lot of these men were raised in families whereby, let me go a bit further. So we had a generation of fathers who are very controlling. Fathers who are very controlling, especially the fathers who went to school during the colonial times and whatever. So the fathers were very controlling. They did everything and they broke their boys. So these boys have grown up, they emotionally broke the boys. These boys have grown up to become men who are confused and passive, and they don't know what to do. They're just confused. They have no sense of direction. Then these men now end up getting married, and they have no idea what they need to do. Then the children being raised in these homes are very angry because they have no father figure. So really, unlike what we used to say, you say that children who are raised by single mothers, they have challenges and what have you. The ones who are even worse are the ones who are being raised with a father who is physically present but emotionally absent. The father has got no idea. And even when you ask the child, children tell me, I can't tell you anything about my father. The way You have stories. The way a child can be talking about stories in school, they are saying, my mother did, my father did. There are boys who are saying now, teenagers, they are saying, I can't tell you a single thing about my father. All I know is that he's just a man in the house. In fact, one man told us that the children call him ule anko analala kwa kitanda ya mami. That's how they know him. Ule anko analala kwa kitanda ya mami. Because he goes and for work, he comes, when he comes, he wants to sleep, and what? And when he's telling children something, they say, report for mami. You know, because they're like, the mother is, so what is going to happen to these boys who are being raised in a home like that? So there's a masculinity, what we can call a masculinity meltdown. There's a big crisis, I tell you. So now that's another story altogether. So now you are asking about, so there is one side and two sides. One, the same coin, but different sides. One side is that men have been socialized not to talk about issues, like to talk about issues that are affecting them emotionally. Like men are allowed to be angry, but not to be sad. Like if you see a man that is angry and they're breaking things and they're doing this, it's sort of like more acceptable. But if a man cries, now we don't know how to handle that. So instead of men expressing their sadness, they get angry. You see? So they bottle their feelings and they express it in anger and they drink and they do what they get into addiction to cope with the emotions that they feel, okay? And sometimes there's also an unrealistic expectation on men. So you will find, for example, a lady is a certain age, let's say 27, 25. She wants to marry a man who is an age mate, and she wants this man to have a car, to have a house, to have this, and they're the same age. So then I normally ask, but you're 25, you don't have these things. You are even drinking yogurt from your mother's fridge. Then you want this man, he has a car, ametoa wapi? Like, where has he gotten it from? And yet, sometimes when the results come out, KCSE, the girls perform better. So where is this man getting these things? So you find that some men even have to pretend and lie and steal and kill and destroy because they want to look like they have what they don't have. So they are not living their authentic life. So when things come full circle, they fall apart because the image that they are portraying is not themselves. And they think they have to act that way for them to be accepted, for them to be loved. Anytime I ask men, how many men like to be the only ones providing in the house? Is there a man like that, by the way? He is okay like being the one providing financially 100%. You want to do it, you like to do it, and you're okay. Is there a man like that? I've never met one like that. Who wants to be the one? Because it's a heavy load for any one human being to take care of another human being. It's a heavy load. I just told you I'm tired of my children. I'm tired of them. I'm not going to carry people. I'm tired. And I've told them I'm tired. So I'm just beginning to tip you out because I want to now start taking care of myself. So then how do you expect another human being to take care of another? It's hard. Everybody should take care of themselves and support another person to make the burden lighter. So there's that aspect. So you will see, because a lot of men will get all these expectations, and the expectations are so much, some of them just give up. Like mtu anaangalia anaona all this, they just look and they just give up. And they're just there, and they're just there. And of course, when they are there, they feel emasculated. And then when they feel emasculated, it confuses the women. Because the same testosterone energy that drives a man to go out and hunt is the same testosterone that drives a man to pursue sex with the wife. Okay? The same testosterone that drives a man, he wants to wake up and go and grind and provide for the family, the same testosterone that drives them to pursue, to have sexual intimacy with the wife. It gets very confusing when a man is not driven at the workplace, but then when they come to the bedroom, they are alive and they're pursuing sex, they're not giving up. It gets very confusing. Because you see, when you look at the animal kingdom, I've said this many times, when a bull is castrated, it's not as aggressive. When a dog has been castrated, that dog will not help you in terms of chasing away pigs. Because you castrate it, then it becomes very how do we say?
Dormant.
Very passive, whatever in a way. So this man is passive at the workplace. He's not actively supporting the family, but he wants to be active in bed. It gets extremely confusing for women. Does that ring a bell? It's very confusing. And then the man feels rejected even more. He feels rejected. And he just says, my home where I'm meant to be, my home where I'm meant to be accepted, and now I'm now being rejected. But the woman is confused. She's not refusing, but her body completely refuses. Because the body cannot respond to energy like that. And I'm not trying to be new age. So the thing is, we are moving, there's a verse in the Bible that talks about do not move the old boundaries. There's a way we were created naturally. So anytime we deviate or depart from the way God created us, we will struggle. So then, getting to the point of what do we do? Let me talk about the measures as I end. The measures, what preventive measures can you take? Now, as being Adventists, we already know the measures we can take. But then I will maybe answer in a way that you have not been traveling with me before. So you know the part of exercise. You know that when you exercise intentionally, deliberately, it helps you to release the feel-good hormones. Whatever exercise, don't ask me which is the best exercise. Walk, run, skip, go to the gym, do anything. Just do anything. Get your body moving. That's very important. Then the other thing is that you need to feed your brain with healthy fuel. You need to feed your brain with healthy fuel. As Adventists, and drink water. Junk is toxic to the brain because whatever you're feeding is what is nourishing your brain. As Adventists, we know about eating healthy. But today I want to tell you something that I've discovered which we need to change. As Adventists, our consumption of starch is simply too high. You find because we know that vegetarianism is the best, what we are doing, we are not eating enough protein. So what we do, we consume so much starch and little protein, and we keep eating. And we wonder why we have done the right thing, but we have ended up having dementia because we are lacking critical nutrients. It is good to be a vegetarian, but you must rethink how you are supplementing your proteins. Please do not eat like you're not thinking. Don't just eat to fill your stomach, or you eat to finish, like my mother tells me, Maliza hii chakula, finish this food, it will go bad. Please do not just eat to finish. Ask yourself, what is this I'm eating? For a long time, my children have been telling me the way I'm addicted to starch, which is true. Like they would wonder why, they would ask me, why should you drink githeri and porridge? Then I tell them, you guys, you don't understand this thing. They're like, what is wrong with you? Like you're eating githeri and porridge, and then they'd ask me, why should you eat sweet potatoes and porridge? Why? But I'm like, you don't understand this thing. They're like, and we can never understand, and we hope we don't ever understand this. Because they're telling me, but you're eating starch on starch. Why do you do this? So you see, the thing is, we end up consuming too much starch and not eating enough protein. We need to eat enough protein. That is how our body gets built, especially if you're over 32 years. As you grow older, you need more protein so that your muscle don't break down. Because when you don't take enough enough protein, what happens to you when your body is breaking down? You don't have enough protein to repair, and you begin aging so fast. You begin aging, your skin begins to wrinkle, and you're asking yourself, but I've done the right thing, I'm a vegetarian, I'm what, I'm this, but why is my skin aging? The skin is aging because there's not enough protein, okay? So think about your protein consumption. Actually, I was listening to a clip this morning, and one renowned psychiatrist was saying that they have been able to help people get stable from mental illness by feeding them a high protein diet, very low starch, high protein, low starch, and then vegetables. And they've been able to reverse because of that diet. I'm yet to listen to more of it, but it makes a lot of sense because you need to nourish your brain, okay? So don't start saying, like I was telling one family member that you're getting so much weight, and the family member saying, like I don't even eat much, and they're eating half a loaf of bread. Bread is for children, if at all. Maybe nobody should eat bread. But if someone has to eat bread, it's for a child. You can't eat bread as an adult, surely. And then you start saying, I'm not even eating much. Yeah? So please rethink how much food are you eating in terms of the protein, how much are you eating? Because that is directly related to your mental health, what you feel. Try, if possible, to avoid the evening meal so that you can sleep better. Avoid the evening meal, yeah? And you know what is called, most of us now know intermittent fasting. Don't eat all the time like a rodent. Stay for 16 to 18 hours without food. You can eat your food within, a rodent has a small stomach, so it keeps eating. You can eat your meal within 6 hours. Whoever lied to us that breakfast is the most important meal lied to us. You don't have to eat so early in the morning when you're not hungry. You can eat at 10, then the next meal you eat at 4, then you stay until the following day. Okay, so that way, just an example, that way you have eaten within 6 hours, then the rest of the 18 hours you're not eating. Research has shown that when you do intermittent fasting, you have a chemical called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Your brain releases a certain chemical that helps your brain cells to grow, to regenerate. It's like a growth hormone for your brain. So when you're staying without eating for long hours, you're making your brain to regenerate. You'll have a sharper memory, okay? So in terms of your drinking, of course, you drink water. And we say you avoid junk food. I think as Adventists, you already know that. Then the other thing also is that having faith in God, a faith in God that you cannot be moved. The faith in God really helps. Then creating healthy relationships. If you're in a relationship that is not serving you, friendships, that's what I'm talking about. Friendships that are not serving you, leave that friend group. Must you stay in that WhatsApp group of friends from kindergarten? Nursery school, you are still in that WhatsApp group where every day you are talking about one Johnny got so much into drinking, we can help his children. You just say, another time you are saying that Onyango, the one who was hit by a mkokoteni, can we help his mother? Is that what you, it's good to help. But in your WhatsApp group, we wake up to such messages every morning. Can even progress? Please, some of us don't know how to let go. You stay in a group. Your child moved from that school. Why are you still in that group a year later? You moved from a church. Why are you still in that group? That because of fear of missing out, you are seeing announcements. So and so is wedding. You left that church. Leave. Release friendships and situations that are not serving you. You have moved. You live in what? You live in Ruaka, but you're still coming to Donholm Church. Why? Why are you living in so many churches? Because you're so attached. No, let people go. Let things go. Go get another church and form networks, and somebody else will come here. So be a person who lets go, you release, okay? Then the other thing also is that let people in your life carry their share of life's burdens. Some of you are here and you're wondering whether your child has eaten. You're even checking your message. Before you serve, you will call. Hello? Boy, amekula. What's your problem? It's his stomach. Amekula. Amekunywa chai vikombe ngapi? Surely. It's their stomach. You can't even listen to him because you are thinking about, you even want to remote control. You want to say, mkate paka bluba nini, paka nini, whatever you want to give instructions. Let people be. They will find a way. Even if they fast for this breakfast, they'll be okay. So learn to let people carry their share of life's burdens. You don't have to be the one to do everything, to do this. There is a lady who was telling me how, hey, I'm stepping on toes here. She packs the husband's suitcase. So when he travels. So one time she forgot to pack slippers. And it was a big issue. When he came, he didn't have slippers. And it became such a big issue, they had to come for counseling, among other things. She forgot to pack slippers. I said, but how can you remember to pack somebody's suitcase dream? See, you know what you're going to wear. So how will I even know what you need to wear on a particular day? Isn't it a responsibility to pack your things? Well, if you want to pack a suitcase for your husband or wife, you want to pack clothes for your child who's going on a trip, You can, but I really wonder whether that is something you really want to do, or it's because you want to feel needed. You want to render yourself relevant. You want to stamp your presence. You will be so exhausted, my friend, because you are mortgaging from the future. So let people learn to take care of themselves. You want to serve people food. You brought food on the table. Do you know how much somebody wants to eat? And then instead of sitting down and eating, you are so vigilant. You are looking, "Nikuongeze, Baba nani, nikuongeze." But it's their sermon. Can't you sit down? Can't you just sit down for heaven's sake and eat your food in peace? And let people add. Why are you giving yourself responsibility? And I know that somebody will say, as some men will say, "I like my wife doing this." Before you married, now who was serving you? Were you hungry? So you were eating. And then please, you need to evaluate. Maybe what you're looking for is motherly love. Maybe you have mommy wounds, you're looking for motherly love. So you want someone to mother you. Is that a child or an adult being done for that? That's an adult. They can serve for themselves, they can say if they are not satisfied. Otherwise, somebody will blame you. I finished my mboga and you did, and I still have ugali, and you didn't even notice mboga yangu ilikuwa imeisha. Now you start solving very petty issues when we need to think about the tax and world hunger and the gospel, taking the gospel to all four corners of the world, not discussing about ugali and mboga. Too basic. So that's the point, that you need to let people take care of themselves as much as possible. Don't be everything to everyone. You cannot be everything. Every time you are in a place where you feel, for example, I'm going to end now. For example, you are in a church and you're feeling like when you umebeba hili kanisa, you're feeling like you're the one carrying the church. Some people even say, if I left, the church will fall. That is so egotistical and so spiritually narcissistic. You can't. Even Christ himself, he said, "Lord of harvest, send forth reapers." Because Christ realized he was 100% God, 100% man. He was not the one to finish the work. So let other people finish the work. And let nobody lie to you that if you leave the women ministry, for example, the women ministry will fall. Are you God? Leave and let somebody else take responsibility. You can't be in a church position, church clerk for 5 years. Are you giving other people an opportunity? You want to tell us you're the only one who is gifted, talented to be a church clerk? And sometimes people can want to give you that responsibility because they feel like you have been doing it so well. But you must learn to swallow your pride and just say, "I do appreciate. However, this year I want to serve in the children ministry." You are not refusing to serve. You're giving other people a chance, because when you remain there, you rob other people an opportunity to serve. Let me tell you, for every speaking engagement, not every, but for most speaking engagements I say yes to, I normally would say no to about 10. So for example, let's say we are having the Family Life Week coming. I cannot tell you how many churches I've said no to, because I had said yes to one church, and then I got so many requests, I can't do everything. And someone would even say, "Please, what can we do? We really wanted you to come." I'm like, "No, there are other people." They say, can you give us a contact?" I say, "No, just find out. You can go the way you found me, go find other people. There are other people." You see, as a human being, you can feel so good. And you can say, "I'm having these 50 churches looking for me." So you can feel so good. But the thing is that you're not different. I'm not different than other people. There are other people who can do it if they're given a chance. So I just let them. I just say, no, I can take one. Camp meeting. You see, camp meeting comes 3 weeks. Then you are booked back to back. I say, no, I can't do 3 continuous weeks. I can only do 2, at least so that I get 1 week to also attend camp meeting and be ministered to. You see? So as a human being, when you're being given responsibilities, you're in a church, you have 3 positions. Why? Because of what? Ambassador, sponsor, pathfinder, director, situation. Why are you taking 3? And the church has so many people. You think you're the righteous one, take 1, maximum 2. Then just say, "I can only take this." Can you get other people? Because the same way you learned, the same way other people learned as well. And you see, sometimes us as human beings, we look at the physical. We don't know your heart. So as we look, we say, this one can speak so well. But we don't know the deep things you are struggling with. And the one we are not picking is even more righteous, quote unquote, is even more righteous than you, the one you are not picking. Just because they don't come out like that. You come out and want you to be here. So please, let's also accept the reality that we are not anybody's savior, and Christ is our only one. So let's release people to the foot of the cross and take their burdens to Christ, because Christ is their burden bearer, and do what we can do and let it be. Then finally, we have no control over the future. We have no control over the future. Many of us want to control, you want to say, what is going to happen? If this and this happens, what's going to happen? You totally have got no control of the future. You don't know anything, including you don't know what is going to happen with somebody's life. So you need to accept that you have very limited understanding and do your very best, do your honest self, and beyond there, leave God to take control, because God is the one in control. You are not. And rest in that promise that, it is only the Lord who can lead us, and you cannot control anybody's life. You can only control yours. You can only decide what you want to do, but you cannot decide what choices another person is going to make. Amen? I don't know, somebody wants to say something before I end? Send anybody who wants to clarify anything? Okay, thank you. I hope you have been blessed. And it's my prayer that we will take charge of our health so that we can prosper. Yeah, we can prosper in health even as our spirit prospers. Let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, blessed be your holy name. We thank you for speaking to us this morning. How I pray that we will not just be hearers, but also doers of the word. If there is any way in which we have walked in disrepute and we have brought reproach to your holy name, we pray for forgiveness. If there is anything, Lord, that you can see in us that need to be corrected, how I pray that we will be humble enough to submit ourselves, oh God, so that we can do that which is right, and so that we can live in harmony and we can live in your honor and your glory. There's anybody who has a family member or a loved one who is struggling with mental health issues, I pray for them, Lord. May you give them wisdom so that they can know how to detach lovingly and how to support them from a distance. If there's anybody that is struggling with mental health issues, I pray that they can take steps so that they can be well. Because, Lord, we need to be well, we need to be healthy. Christ came to give us life and give it to us much more abundantly. I pray that we will embrace the abundant life that the Lord has given us. We thank you for the leadership of the church. I pray that your grace may abound, that you may give them wisdom to steer the church to greater heights of spiritual excellence. I pray for our families. I want to pray for those who are in job. May you give them promotions that don't come from the east or the west, but come from you. For those who are in business this week, I pray and forever that you may bring customers their way. If there's anybody that is sick, Lord, I pray for healing upon them. If there's anybody that is struggling with unforgiveness, I pray that you may help them release those that have hurt them. If there's anybody who needs to be forgiven, I pray by your grace that they may be forgiven. May you bless us. May you be with us. May you keep us safe and sound now and forevermore. For it's in Jesus' name we have prayed and believed. Amen. Amen. God bless you.
Many might be filled with God. And I can see also the men have turned up, which is good. Before we do the
You want to stop?
before we conclude, let's just to do some line again. Please, the first two stanzas as we stand, okay? Choristers.
The recording now.
And then I'll also call Sister Ebony to come up.